That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard that right. I actually was on Sean Hannity's radio show 5 years ago. 5 years and some months. Here's how it happened. Late 2014, November 2014 to be precise, I was still living in Washington, D.C., where I was working in nonprofit advocacy, civil liberties to be precise, free speech to be even more precise. And I decided to try to start building up some kind of experience and expertise when it came to basically just making videos and commentary by starting my own YouTube channel. I'd gotten a MacBook Air for my job, and I decided to take a stab at it. When I lost my job in Washington, D.C., and lost my U.S. work permit with it and had to return to Canada because of my knee injury and the whole crisis that resulted from that, I decided to keep the YouTube thing going. And at that point, although I had to give back the laptop to my former employer, I was able to get myself a Google Chromebook. And back then, YouTube still allowed you to record videos directly onto the website. So I was still able to put videos on, although it was still pretty rudimentary, if I'm completely honest with you. So I kept doing that throughout the spring of 2015, commenting on things that were coming up, things that happened in the news at that time, from the uprising in Baltimore over Freddie Gray's killing at the hands of Baltimore police, to the Charleston Church massacre. And that, by the way, is what caught the attention of Sean Hannity's radio show producer. I can't remember her name, but she reached out to me on Twitter, which is one of the social media platforms where I would promote my videos. And she told me she had noticed my videos and liked what I had to say, liked the way I said it. And she said she'd like to include me in a discussion on Sean Hannity's radio show along with 2 other black commentators about the Charleston Church massacre. I didn't even give it any thought. Right off the rip, I jumped at the chance. So before I know it, I'm on my cell phone at the time, participating in a talk show segment hosted by Sean Hannity over the radio. His commentary on the Charleston Church massacre was all about shilling for the Republican Party. No surprise there, that's Sean Hannity for you. No matter what position the Republican Party takes, he'll take it. Why do Democrats keep portraying us Republicans as racists? We're not the racists, they're the real racists.
Bill Clinton signed a law honoring the Confederate flag. Did you know that? During his term as governor. Bill Clinton's country club actually banned black people. That flag was put up by Democrats. Fritz Hollings put that flag up. How did this become a Republican problem when the Democrats put it up, though?
Why do they keep judging the South? Why do they keep making the South out to be this racist region?
I've lived in the South, and I think Nikki Haley actually hit the right understanding of the flag, and that a lot of people just see it as a part of their heritage and history and not as a symbol of slavery. I know the core decency of Southerners, and I got to tell you something, there can be people that have differing viewpoints that can be in favor of flying that flag without being racist. That's just a fact.
I actually partly agreed with him on that, but not in the way that he would have preferred, I'm sure.
Well, Akil here, very quickly, I'd like to say it doesn't really matter which party puts them up. The symbols themselves should be taken down off public property, mind you. Obviously, private citizens can display these symbols all they like. The right to free speech covers
I know. How did this become a Republican problem when the Democrats put it up, though? This is my question.
I don't think it's a
exactly right.
at all. It's not a Republican problem at all. It's a problem that exists in both parties.
I said, look, no serious student of racism in America, whether in its individual and attitudinal manifestation or in its systemic and institutional dimension, would ever claim that the South is the only scene of the crime when it comes to American racism, to paraphrase James Baldwin.
I'd just like to point out that it's not just a matter of what Democrats did decades ago when they still had a massive Southern contingent. Even in more recent decades, Democrats have supported policies that were inimical to African Americans' interests. If you look at, for example, drug policy, where there's a huge disparity in sentencing between crack cocaine and powdered cocaine, and that's become a major problem in the black community where criminal justice is concerned. Liberal Democrats, many of them African Americans in Congress, played a very critical role in getting those sentencing guidelines passed as well.
The South has not always been the scene of the crime. In fact, the whole country has always been the scene of the crime.
This is very much a bipartisan and American problem. It's not even just a Southern problem. It's an American problem.
It's not a Southern problem any more than it is a Northern problem. It's not an Eastern problem any more than it is a Western problem. It's not a Republican problem any more than it is a Democratic problem. Racism is an American malady that needs an American cure, not just a Southern one or a Northern one. I'm not sure he expected that take on it, but someone like Sean Hannity would really prefer to deny that racism is much of a problem in America at all, at least when it comes to its systemic dimension. And people like that would prefer to have us believe that as long as you're not dropping N-bombs or burning crosses on people's lawns or forbidding your daughter to date or marry a black man, as long as you're not doing any of those things, you're not guilty of racism. Nothing could be further from the truth, but that's a topic for another day. It was a wide-ranging chat, but it was a pretty interesting experience, and I'm glad that I had it, I'm just looking forward to having many more such experiences in the future. Just my 2 cents.